What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the weekly comic roundup here from Comic Drops, where we talk about and discuss some of the week's latest releases in the world of comics. Joining me again today, as always, is my good friend Ender Lilly. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. Let's talk some comics.
Yeah, let's. Again, a little bit of a shorter episode this week, shorter pull list. I had a pitiful pull this week, honestly. I picked up not even a handful of books, less than five. But anyways, I guess to start things out, we'll talk about Batman number 8, which was continuing the Night of the Monster Men story arc, which we talked about that last week. We're not the biggest fans of it. I liked these two issues, the Batman and Nightwing this week, more than the previous installments in this story. I thought they were better. And so it's just basically moving along the story of them fighting the monsters and also trying to track down Hugo Strange. And it was basically more of the same from last time, where it's a fun, solid, like, Bat family story fighting monsters, which is crazy. And that's cool. But I think that the reason that I'm honestly kind of getting Batman and Nightwing mixed up in my head when talking about them, because they're like, I read them back to back as like one book basically, and it's the Night of the Monster Men thing. But it basically it gave more advances in the Hugo Strange side of the story. And so that I think is what elevated these two more than the previous ones. But I will say that I'm definitely looking forward to after this Night of the Monster Men story arc. I think this has been a fun little like side story like ride thing, but it's not my favorite, but it's not bad definitely, but it's just kind of, it's okay and it's there. And if you like a good monster and you want a like fun monster story with Batman and friends, then definitely pick it up. But it's So I mean, you didn't pick this one up today, right?
I picked up Batman.
You did?
I did. I said I wasn't, but I did. But I can agree with you. I actually just didn't like it. I just found it really underwhelming. Basically, the big thing we find out is, it's more of Hugo Strange, and that they could connect the dots to Bane. But aside from that, it was kind of just like the same thing all over again, just more fighting monsters and
momentary setbacks to keep them fighting the monsters and stuff.
Yep. Same thing with Bruce telling Duke, no, you can't join us, and more Red Robin references. And I'm just like, okay, this is kind of repeating itself a little too much for me.
It feels like a sort of unnecessary story, but I mean,
it does.
That I don't know.
I mean,
that to me doesn't make it bad. Like, the unnecessariness doesn't make it bad. It's just that it's not great, so you feel kind of disappointed with it.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like wow factor to it.
Especially because like this is a Batman book. Like, this is one of my favorite books that I always pick up, and so for it to be just kind of like meh, it's upsetting.
And it's the first crossover event of Rebirth, so it's just sort of kind of a letdown. That it's just sort of that we can classify it as unnecessary. So it's just I don't know. I wish I was enjoying it more, because the first issue of Batman that tied into this, I was like, yo, this is a fun issue. I'm gonna like this arc. And then it just kind of repeated itself and hasn't really gone too far. And I'm just kind of like, I think I'll pass. I think I'll skip next week and just pick up the books whenever they start over on their new story arcs.
Yeah, and then I think for this and for Nightwing, I'm looking forward to the stories that are coming after much more than this story. So that's kind of, it's a bummer, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Jumping over to Marvel for a second, Jessica Jones I had no idea.
Number 1.
Number 1. I could have I thought that in my head. I was like, I feel like this might be a number 1 issue. But anyways, Jessica Jones number 1 came out today. So how's that?
It was good. This was the first. This is officially starting the new Marvel initiative, Marvel Now. I'm only saying that because I see a big "now" written on the cover, so I just assume that. But it's kind of just playing on the popularity of the Netflix shows, and it's very similar in tone to the Netflix. So if you were a fan of the show, you'll probably love the book. So it's kind of, it goes back to like, it's a grittier story, which I love. I'm all about those anti-heroes.
Anti-heroes are so cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the original creative team who brought Alias to to comics with Marvel, and these were the creators of Jessica Jones. So it's cool that they're back and they're taking her on a new adventure. I will say though that it's a little confusing because I don't know much about Jessica Jones, and the way they kind of throw you into the issue is a little confusing. You don't know what's really going on or what her status is with other Marvel characters. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll explain it further down in the series, but I guess it was a little jarring for me right away. But aside from that, I thought it was a really fun read. There's some really cool cameos. I won't spoil it, but a personal favorite of mine shows up. So yeah, if you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of Jessica Jones, or you just want a good, like darker, grittier story, even it kind of seems like it's gonna be like a detective story. So if you're into that, definitely recommend it.
Hearing that it's a lot like the show definitely makes me more open to picking it up, because I loved the show. I thought the show was great.
Yeah,
so I think that's definitely like they're cashing in on the show, and it's a very smart thing to do. They have a ton of new fans because of that, so it makes sense to make a book that is very close to it.
Definitely, and they're doing the same thing with the Daredevil book, which I'm loving right now. So I mean,
I need to continue that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, people love the Netflix shows. Cash in on it. I mean, you're gonna love it. If you love the Netflix shows, you're gonna love this book.
That's awesome to hear. But hopping back over to DC momentarily, we were gonna talk about Nightwing next, but I kind of grouped that one in with the Night of the Monstermen thing.
All right.
So I mean, that one's it's a continuation of the Monstermen story. It's not really a Nightwing book for these past 2 weeks, but and so that one I did enjoy that. I think that Nightwing issue, that like the last issue of the Night of the Monstermen arc so far, has been my favorite of the Night of the Monstermen thing, because that's the one that I feel like offered the most forward plot, especially at the end. It set up the finale to be awesome. I'm excited for the finale of the Night of the Monstermen thing, but aside from that, it's nothing really too it doesn't stand out too much. It's not like a blockbuster issue. But moving along with DC still, Aquaman number, I'm totally blanking, 8?
8.
Aquaman number 8 came out today. So how was that? What kind of happened in this one, and what did you think of it?
Well, I really liked it. But of course, I like pretty much every Aquaman issue that's come out so far. So basically, we're kind of going back to, it essentially is a big fight issue. Black Manta has, he's unleashed their newest creation, this giant creature to storm through Atlantis. And so Aquaman's going to deal with that. On the other side, we have Mara's story, where she has to basically prove that she's worthy to marry Aquaman. So she has to go through these rituals. So it's really cool. We have 2 cool stories going along. But yeah, mostly it's a big fight that happens. It is a surprising villain. It is a known villain that shows up in Aquaman. I'm not going to spoil it, but longtime DC fans might be pretty excited to see who it is, who the big creature ends up being.
Yeah, that was really, I was really interested. I did not expect that at all.
I didn't either. I thought it was going to be a new character, and then when they showed him, I was like, whoa, him?
I also was not, I will say though that this issue of Aquaman was probably my least favorite so far.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. But I mean, it was still enjoyable.
Oh, definitely. I just felt like this one was the most, it kind of, I don't want to say like eased back or put the brakes on, but it just, all the other ones have felt more, I've been more engaged in the read, I think is the best way to put it. Like I've been way more engaged while reading all the other books so far, as opposed to this one, but it still was an enjoyable read.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, makes me excited for the next one because I mean, Abnett's been doing a fantastic job on the series.
It's definitely a testament to like Aquaman has been one of the best books consistently since Rebirth started. So,
Yeah, definitely.
but I guess we'll stick with DC again for another minute. Justice League number 6, I think, came out today, and that one I had dropped it from the previous arc because I did not enjoy it at all. It was bad, honestly. But I noticed that this one was the start of a new arc, and so I figured I would give it a try and see maybe if it's gotten any better. And um, it's not as bad as I thought that the book was before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good, but nothing really happens. And I mean, it's so it opens and they're fighting this thing that is making all the entire Justice League super afraid. And so the Green Lanterns like combat it and they like overpower it for a second, and the League manages to take it out and it goes away. But the rest of the issue, you can tell that the whatever they were fighting has left effects on them, and they're all like acting angry or like slightly different. And so it's just the book is just a couple of different character interactions, and Flash and Jessica go out on a date, and so that happens, and that's pretty cool. But I mean, other than that, nothing really. It's not. I wasn't super entertained or engaged while reading it. The art is solid, but other than that, it's just it's a really disappointing book, especially for a Justice League book. This is supposed to be the DC book. This is supposed to be the best book that comes out every time it comes out for DC.
Yeah,
It's the biggest book that they have, and so far it's just been the biggest letdown. And
yeah.
so
Easily the worst book that they're publishing right now. And that's sad.
it really really is. And so I mean, I'll check out the next issue, I guess, to see if this one gets any better, but I'm just hoping that this book gets a serious turnaround sometime soon, because it needs it.
I'm just wondering if they need a new creative team or at least a new writer, because it is not doing it. Everyone I talk to, just they do not like this book at all. And like you said, it's DC's biggest book. It's the Justice League. It needs to be a good book. So
It really does.
you gotta put your. I mean, I would switch and I'd put Orlando on this book. I mean, I really would. He's, they got him an exclusive contract, and he's one of the best writers at DC right now. I mean, I'm super excited for his JLA he's working on. But man, this book needs to be good, and Hitch is not doing it.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. But aside from the disappointing Justice League, we'll take the jump again back over to Marvel with a different team book, Uncanny X-Men number something.
Oh man, let me look it up.
14.
14? Is that it?
Got it.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men number 14 came out today. So how was that one?
Really good. I really enjoyed this book. It's actually my favorite X-Men team book that Marvel is publishing. Basically, we're following Magneto and his team as they've teamed up, reluctantly teamed up with the Hellfire Club to track down who is weaponizing mutants, essentially. And so they find that this corporation, Someday, that's what they're called, the Someday Corporation, has been weaponizing them, and Magneto finds that it's actually one of the X-Men villains, Exodus, who is basically recruiting, and he's got these sleeper agents. He's basically building an army of mutants because he's convinced that there's going to be a huge war with the mutants. And so, yeah, it's a really cool issue. Who is on art? Cullen Bunn and Greg Land. They're doing really good work with this book. I'm loving every issue. Bunn writes a perfect Magneto, so having him write him again is just a blessing. So this was the last issue of this arc. So I recommend it. I thought it was a really entertaining conclusion to the Exodus arc, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not going to spoil too much because some things happen in it that'll shake the team up a little bit.
I love that team, like the characters that they have in it. I've read the first like 5 issues, I think,
Yeah.
of that run.
Yeah.
And I loved everything that I had read so far.
Absolutely.
The characters are awesome.
It's the best team. I love it. It's like all the anti-heroes of the mutants, and it's like I like it because Psylocke is like the main character, and so it's kind of a book that's about Magneto and Psylocke, who are the real stars of the book. But like you said, the team is great. Every character.
So I mean, if you're a fan of any of those characters, then it's definitely a book you should pick up. But I guess we'll stick with Marvel for a moment. All New Wolverine number
13.
15.
13.
13, sorry. I heard you wrong.
No, that's all right.
All New Wolverine number 13 came out today, and so how was that?
Really good. This is the first issue of the new Enemy of the State. Basically, I was talking to Tom Taylor about this actually because I was telling him like I really want like a dark, gritty, all new Wolverine story, and he told me the next one, this Enemy of the State, is gonna be that. And just from this issue, it's definitely gonna be the darkest story arc of all new Wolverine so far. So I'm really excited for that.
That'll be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So we get a little history of Laura Kinney's past. Essentially, we learn that she was basically brought up to be a killer, and they had a failsafe to control her, which they called it a trigger scent, which basically is like mind controls her, and she kills anything in her way if she smells the scent. So she's in her apartment and she gets this mysterious package, and inside the box is the vial of this trigger scent. So she and her sister Gabby end up they have to leave New York because someone's after her. Someone wants her to kill for whatever reason. So yeah, and then they end up going to this I think they're in California. They end up going to California to escape, and I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's going to be dark, and I don't know, if you like dark and gritty stories like I do, you might want to jump on this book because it sounds like it's going to be a blast.
I mean, I'm all for dark and gritty stories, Andrew. You've got me sold.
Oh, I know you are. But yeah, definitely. It's the first issue of the arc, so it's a perfect jumping on point. So the only thing that I'll say that I didn't like about the issue is the art. I just found it to be very bland. So
that's a letdown, but I mean, that's not a book breaker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could get through it. It's not terrible. Yeah, like you said, it's not a book breaker. It's disappointing.
Whenever I first started reading comics, art was a book breaker, but I've gotten to the point now where I can deal with most, unless the art is just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes if it just doesn't fit, it's just really hard for me to get into it because I don't know.
Yeah, it just makes it more difficult to get, like, to have a great time with it. But it doesn't completely negatively bring down the book.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's the only complaint I have about this series is that they don't have an ongoing artist. It's like switched every arc because it started with Lopez, my favorite, was the first arc, and then Takara, was that his name? No, Marcio Takara. Yeah, he was on it for a while, and then after the Civil War tie-ins had a new artist. And then now they have a new artist. So it's like, whoa. They keep changing.
That's interesting. That's a interesting take on that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'd kind of like a series regular to take the book.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, but like you said, it doesn't kill the book. I mean, it's kind of disappointing, but it didn't ruin my reading experience. So
Well, that's good. But we will hop back over to DC to end the episode. One more book. Green Arrow number 8 came out today. So how was that one?
it was good, but I don't think it was one I would say I enjoyed a lot. If you're a Oliver and I already forgot how this. We just talked about this.
Dinah.
Okay. If you're an Ollie and Dinah shipper, you'll love it. It's got some great moments between those two. But aside from that, it didn't really move the story along too much. It just... I'm not going to say it's a bad book, but it was a solid book. How about that? It was good. But I wish it kind of moved it along a little bit.
Did it feel very much like it was for the Ollie Dinah fans?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it felt like. Which it had some cool moments between them, and if that's what you want to read, that you'll love it. But if you're looking for like the plot, you might get that next issue.
Okay.
So, yeah, good art, great art. Otto
The
Schmidt's
art's
back,
always been a plus for Green Arrow so far.
definitely. So Otto's back, so it's gonna be great.
Well, that's awesome. I need to get. There's so many books that I need to get caught up on.
Oh.
That I always say that I need to. It's just there's too many good comics, man. Too many
There
good
are.
comics.
It's crazy how many good comics there are right now. Like all across the board, DC,
Like-
Marvel, Image.
I already have a bunch of comics that came out like 20 years ago that I still need to read, and then we have these ones that are coming out now. It's way too many. I'm overwhelmed.
Oh, I hear ya.
But it looks like that will just about do it for this week's episode. So if you do have any books that you read that we don't even acknowledge at all, which there are tons that we don't, I'm sure, and you want us to pick them up, please leave them down in the comments below, and we will try to add them to our pull list. But I guess now we will shamelessly plug our social media. So where can people find you on the internet, Andrew?
I'm on Twitter at Anderwriter. Come on by, talk comics, talk Aquaman, anything.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at APBatman with 2 T's. Basically the same thing. Come on by, talk comics, movies, anything Batman related, I'm always down for. But yeah, and be sure to always keep it locked to Comic Drops for the latest drops in superhero news and entertainment. Later.